Somewhere over the Pacific Northwest right now, 40,000 feet above the forests and rivers of Washington state, there's an unsolved mystery flying circles in the air. It has been there for over 50 years. No body was ever found, no parachute recovered, no arrest ever made. The FBI, the most powerful law enforcement agency on Earth, worked this case for 45 years, and they came up with nothing. One man bought a plane ticket, hijacked a commercial flight, walked away with $200,000 in cash, jumped out of the back of a moving aircraft into a pitch-black storm, and simply ceased to exist. This is not a movie. This is not a podcast thriller. This actually happened. On Thanksgiving Day, 1971, a man calling himself Dan Cooper did something so audacious, so perfectly planned, and so completely insane that it became the only unsolved airplane hijacking in American history. And the most disturbing part? We still don't know who he was. We don't know if he survived. We don't even know his real name. But here's what I think. I think he planned every single detail except for one thing. And that one thing may have decided whether he lived or died. Stay with me, because this story goes much deeper than most people realize. It's November 24th, 1971. Portland, Oregon. Thanksgiving Day. Portland International Airport is buzzing. Holiday travelers, families, kids running between legs. That specific kind of American chaos that only happens around the holidays. A man walks to the Northwest Orient Airlines counter. He's nobody. That's the point. He's medium height, medium build, somewhere in his 40s. Dark suit, white shirt, black tie with a mother-of-pearl clip. Dark sunglasses, strange since the sky outside is a solid wall of gray clouds. He buys one ticket. Seattle, one way, cash, no checked baggage, just a briefcase.
Name?
Dan Cooper.
The ticket agent doesn't look twice. There's nothing to look twice at. That's exactly the point. He boards Flight 305, a Boeing 727, 36 passengers, half empty because it's Thanksgiving and everyone's already where they need to be. He takes his assigned seat, 18C, last row, aisle, closest seat on the entire plane to the rear of the aircraft. He orders a bourbon, tips well, waits. 30 minutes into the flight, somewhere between Portland and Seattle, he calls the flight attendant over. Florence Schaffner is the one who reaches him first. She's seen this before. Businessmen slipping their numbers on cocktail napkins. She takes the folded note without reading it, starts to pocket it. His voice stops her. Quiet, almost apologetic.
Miss, I'd suggest you read that.
She opens it. 4 sentences. Handwritten, neat, deliberate. I have a bomb. I will use it if necessary. I want you to sit beside me. You are being hijacked. Florence is trained for emergencies. She sits. Her hands are steady. Her mind is racing.
Show me.
He opens the briefcase. Just enough. Red cylinders, wires, a battery. What look like 8 sticks of dynamite. Real or fake? She doesn't know. Nobody on that plane knows. That uncertainty is the weapon.
What do you want?
His demands are specific, unnervingly specific.
$200,000 in $20 bills. 4 parachutes. 2 primary, 2 reserve. Full refueling on landing. All passengers released unharmed. Then the plane would fly south.
He's not angry, not sweating. He's calm the way a man is calm when he's thought about something for a very long time. On the ground, the machine starts grinding. The FBI gets the call. Northwest Airlines executives are pulled out of their Thanksgiving dinners. A bank manager is dragged from his family to open the vault. 10,000 individual $20 bills need to be assembled, photographed, every single serial number, and delivered to a runway in Seattle. A skydiving school gets a call they will remember for the rest of their lives.
4 parachutes, now! Federal emergency, don't ask questions!
Up in the air, the plane circles Seattle for 3 hours, burning fuel, waiting. The hijacker orders more bourbon. Tips again. He's not in a hurry. He's already where he needs to be. Here's something the competitor script glosses over, something that tells us everything about who this man might have been. He knew the Boeing 727 had a rear air stairs system. Not a widely known fact, not something a casual traveler would know. The 727's aft staircase was unique in commercial aviation. It could be lowered in flight. The FAA would later actually create a new regulation specifically because of this man. They called it the Cooper vane, a physical lock that prevents the stairs from being deployed mid-air. He also requested very specific flight parameters: gear down, flaps at 15 degrees, altitude no higher than 10,000 feet, speed around 200 knots. These aren't random numbers. These are the exact settings that make a low-altitude parachute jump survivable, while simultaneously making it nearly impossible for the crew to gain altitude or speed to stop him. This was engineered. Every piece of it. 5:24 p.m. The plane lands in Seattle. The passengers are released. They still don't know what happened. They're told it was a mechanical issue. The money and parachutes are delivered. He counts the bills, checks the chutes the way someone checks them who has used one before. Then he lets the passengers go. He keeps the crew. 7:40 p.m. The plane takes off again.
Destination, Reno, Nevada.
The crew is locked in the cockpit with strict instructions.
Don't open that door. Don't come out, no matter what you hear.
8:13 p.m. Somewhere over the dark forests of southwestern Washington, 10,000 feet, pitch black, temperature at altitude near freezing, rain turning horizontal at 200 miles per hour. The rear staircase goes down, and Dan Cooper steps off the edge of the world. The crew feels a slight change in pressure. A light on the instrument panel confirms the stairs are deployed. Captain William Scott picks up the intercom. No answer. He keeps flying south. He's gone. 2 F-106 fighter jets, trailing far behind in the darkness, see nothing. Radar detects nothing. There's nothing to detect. One man, a business suit, a parachute, and $200,000 dissolved into the Pacific Northwest night. The FBI named their investigation NORJAC, Northwest Hijacking. Within 24 hours, they had hundreds of agents combing the forests of southwestern Washington. They found nothing. No parachute, no body, no footprints, no scrap of clothing, nothing. They interviewed everyone on that plane. They traced the parachutes. They analyzed the tobacco residue from his Raleigh cigarettes. They studied his voice patterns. They compiled a profile. White male, mid-40s, 6 feet tall approximately, 180 pounds, calm under extreme stress, familiar with aviation, trained with parachutes, possibly military background. Vietnam era would match the profile, sophisticated enough to plan this in detail, disciplined enough to execute it without a single mistake. Over the next decade, the FBI investigated over 800 suspects. They cleared every single one. And here's what I keep coming back to, a detail that I think gets buried in the sensational headlines about the jump itself. He asked for 2 primary and 2 reserve parachutes. The FBI's initial theory was that he wanted 2 sets in case he needed to train a crew member to jump with him. But he jumped alone. So why 4? My theory, and I think this actually matters, is that he never intended to use both primaries. He used the reserve chute lining as wrapping for the money. The FBI later found that one of the reserve parachutes he was given was a training dummy, a non-functional chute that was actually sewn shut. February 10, 1980, 8.5 years later. Brian Ingram is 8 years old. He's on a family camping trip on the banks of the Columbia River near Vancouver, Washington. He's digging in the sand the way kids dig in sand, no particular reason. His shovel hits something. He pulls out 3 rotted bundles of $20 bills, water-damaged, partially decomposed, but still rubber-banded together. The serial numbers match. It's the Cooper money, $5,800 of it. This should have cracked the case open. Instead, it made everything worse. The Columbia River is 30 miles from the suspected jump zone. How did the money travel 30 miles through one of the most treacherous waterway systems in the Pacific Northwest and remain bundled? Hydrologists spent months trying to model how the bills could have arrived at that beach. The results were contradictory. The bills showed signs of water exposure, but not the kind you'd expect from 3 years of river travel. Some experts believed the money was buried there, not washed there. Someone buried it, and then never came back. Or someone was already dead and couldn't. 50-plus years later, here's where the evidence actually points. Not the romantic folk hero version, the real version. Theory 1. He died on impact. The professional skydiving community has been nearly unanimous on this since 1971. Jumping at night, in a storm, in a business suit and dress shoes, at 10,000 feet with civilian sport parachutes, carrying 21 pounds of unbalanced weight. This is survivable only by someone with extensive low-altitude military jump experience. The odds of a clean landing in pitch-black dense forest, in near-freezing rain, with no altimeter, no helmet, no navigation? Extremely low. Most likely he hit trees, he hit the ground wrong. The Columbia River took him. Theory 2. He survived and disappeared. This is the theory that keeps investigators awake, because everything about this man suggests precision. He chose the right plane, the right seat, the right demands, the right flight parameters. If someone planned this well, maybe they planned the landing too. Maybe there was a clearing marked, a contact waiting, a new life already built and waiting like a house with the lights already on. Theory 3. He survived, but the money didn't. This is the one I find most compelling. The $5,800 found on that beach, rubber-banded, bundled, suggests the money was hidden in a hurry by someone who was injured or panicked. Maybe he landed. Maybe he was hurt, disoriented. Maybe he buried a portion of the cash, planning to come back. And maybe he never made it back. Not because of law enforcement, because of the forest. The Pacific Northwest in November is not forgiving. The terrain where he jumped is dense second-growth forest, deep ravines, rivers. If he was injured and stumbled even a quarter mile in the wrong direction in the dark, the wilderness would have finished what the storm started. His body could be 50 yards from a hiking trail and have never been found. Here's the thing that nobody talks about. Whether he lived or died, and I genuinely believe he didn't survive, the plan itself was flawless. He hurt nobody. He made no threats of violence beyond the implied threat of the briefcase. He was polite to the flight attendants. He tipped his drinks. He waited. He planned. And then he stepped off the back of an airplane at night in a storm over one of the wildest pieces of terrain in America. What drove a man to that moment? Not greed. $200,000 in 1971 is about $1.5 million in today's money. Significant, but not life-changing wealth for someone with real criminal enterprise resources. This wasn't organized crime money. This was a specific, personal number. Like a debt being settled. I think Dan Cooper, whoever he was a man who had run out of options. Not options in the dramatic Hollywood sense. Regular options. Medical bills, maybe. A debt he couldn't escape. A life that had cornered him in some quiet, ordinary way that nobody around him could see. And so he did something extraordinary. He took one calculated, impossible swing at freedom. Maybe it worked. Maybe it didn't. But for one day, on a rainy Thanksgiving afternoon over the Pacific Northwest, he was the most untouchable person in America. The FBI officially suspended active investigation of the D.B. Cooper case in July 2016. After 45 years, after 800 suspects, after thousands of man-hours and millions of dollars, they left the file open, technically, but they stopped looking. The Cooper vane was installed on every Boeing 727 in existence within months of the hijacking. The FAA changed the boarding process for flights, new security protocols, new screening procedures, new rules that shaped commercial aviation for decades. All because one man in a dark suit bought a one-way ticket to Seattle. $194,200 of the ransom money has never been found. His name, his real name, has never been confirmed. His face, beyond the vague composite sketches assembled from 11 different passenger descriptions that couldn't even agree on his eye color, remains unknown. Somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, the answer is buried. In the ground, maybe. In the river, maybe. Or in the faded memory of someone who watched an old man with weathered hands and quiet eyes live out his last years and take his secret with him to a grave that bears a different name. Dan Cooper bought a ticket to disappear. And whatever happened next, he succeeded.